How much muscle can we possibly gain naturally as a beginner when we start resistance training? That's a good question, a question that has no answer, because obviously, as many other questions when it comes to fitness and physiological adaptation, it depends. It depends on the individual. In one of my last video, I spoke about one of my clients, 57 years old lady with light osteoporosis. They got 2 kilograms, which is 4 pounds if you're American, of lean muscle mass with 8 sessions of resistance training in a month and a half, which is quite impressive. Now, some very intelligent person commented down my YouTube video saying that those results are not possible. And to prove what he was saying, he used a meta-analysis. The meta-analysis is the following: a systematic review with meta-analysis of the effect of resistance training on whole body muscle growth in healthy adult males. So, let's have a look to this meta-analysis. First of all, this meta-analysis was made using 111 studies. I don't even think that all the authors read every single one of the studies. Now, in the abstract, we can see that on average, they found that by analyzing the different results of 111 studies, the trend is a significant effect on improvement of hypertrophy of 1.5 kilos with 2 weeks of resistance training. Now, the thing is, we can't really use meta-analysis when it comes to find conclusions, because most of the times the authors of the meta-analysis itself did not read the studies. They just read the conclusion of the study. In this case, this meta-analysis in particular was made using a software that selected all the studies in a database using keywords. Now, I'm pretty sure that the genius, they use this meta-analysis to prove that 2 kilograms of lean muscle is impossible, which is not, because anyways, they prove 1.5 kilograms is more than achievable. My client got 2 kilograms, which is not that far, considering the standard deviation of data. Now, I'm pretty sure that this genius didn't even open the studies of the meta-analysis. So I randomly pick 3 studies that are mentioned in this meta-analysis. Okay, 3 studies from the 111. Now the first one, the very first one, APE 2000, the first one show an increase of 15% in body mass in 4 weeks, and then a 35% of lean mass in 12 weeks. Then there's another study, Lukatsky, 1996, that doesn't even compare the effect of resistance training. Talks about chromium supplementation and resistance training on body composition. So this study is not valuable for our purposes. So we can't rely on this study that doesn't even talk about resistance training, talk about supplementation. There's another study, Bartolomei et al., 2016, effect of lower body resistance training on upper body strength adaptation in trained men. Trained men that have been training for over 3 years. Of course, we are not going to see crazy result with people that have been training for 3 years. They are most likely being close to their genetic potential. So here's the thing. If we talk about how much muscle can we gain in the first 4-8 weeks of resistance training, we cannot use a study that analyzes people that have been training for 3 years. We cannot use a study that analyzes the effect of chromium supplementation and resistance training. And even the studies that confirm or disprove what I'm saying, we need to check, we need to assess. Did they train the participant the same way that I train my client, which is a smart, high-intensity training protocol, science-based? Probably not. So here's the thing. The reason why people use scientific paper or meta-analysis to prove something is to sound smart most of the time. But then if you actually read the paper, the meta-analysis that they're using, we get to the conclusion that most of the time The resource they use themselves don't even prove them right because they didn't even read it. Now, this guy must have read the abstract or the conclusion, where basically they didn't say that there is a limit of how much muscle you can grow. They say, according to 111 studies, there is an average of 1.5 kilogram after interventions of more than 2 weeks of duration. It doesn't mean nothing because then 111 studies, not all of them were training newbies and beginners. Not all of them were analyzing the effect of high intensity training. Some studies were about nutrition. Some studies were about expert athletes. People like this, they use this type of meta-analysis or studies that don't even understand because they don't have the knowledge to understand even what they're reading to prove they're right. Suffer from something called Dunning-Kruger effect, and I'm gonna read it to you right now. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias in which people with limited competence in a particular domain overestimate their abilities. It was first described by Justin Kruger and David Dunning in 1999. So if you're interested in real science of training, not bullshit, just real science, and you want to learn how to read, how to understand a scientific study, you want to grow more muscle with high intensity science-based training, all you have to do is to drop me a follow on Instagram, subscribe on my channel,